Good morning, Good Friday morning. It's Good Friday, and welcome to Blue Jeans Pizza in lovely Blue Ridge, Georgia. It is time for our segment every Friday morning, Ask the Doc. Thank you, Georgia Cancer Specialist with Dr. Whaley. Good morning, Doc. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Have you noticed that we have a co-host?
Got some arm candy over here.
Okay.
He was crucified, dead, and buried today.
Yes.
In 72 hours, he'll rise again. So
Absolutely.
Praise the Lord.
Well, you know,
it's Good Friday.
It is Good Friday, and you know what my dad calls Good Friday?
No.
Tater planting day. So that's the country people, the old timers. Good Friday's tater planting. Sorry, you tell me if I'm wrong.
Right. It's just time to put your water in a boat in the water and stuff like that, right?
It's exactly. So we have a beautiful holiday weekend. Now, Dr. Whaley, I'm the one that says we have to stay focused.
Yes.
Okay.
On time.
But I do want at least a minute from you. I can't let you out of here without you telling me what you think about the president's decision to drop that bomb yesterday on ISIS.
He dropped a bomb. I think when you give a message, you make it a big one. That was a really, really big message. If you remember the Bora Bora tunnels back when we first invaded Afghanistan, what, 1990, 2001, December 2001? Right. And Osama bin Laden went hiding underground, and they were talking about dropping bomb busters on him. Well, our man dropped the bomb buster. He dropped a barrel bomb or whatever not a barrel bomb, but what do they call that thing? A bunker buster or whatever they call that bomb. That was a big deal. That's a big message.
Okay, we have a couple questions that have come in this week, and if you ever want to ask Dr. Whaley a question, you can send those to us at chief@fetchernews.com or 706-889-9700. That is right here. So Dr. Whaley, this past week. Now, nice weather, okay? It's getting to be what we call tanning season. Tanning season.
Great question.
Okay, so this particularly doesn't pertain to me.
No.
Okay, I'm going to be open. I have really no concern on this, because what I do is my tan comes from cutting the grass. I have lawnmower tan, all right? So anyhow, tanning sprays, and that's getting very popular, right? Tanning sprays rather than tanning beds. What are the dangers? Should you get tanning spray instead of laying in the bed?
First of all, I want to be real emphatic that the tanning spray is by far the way to go, not the tanning bed. Not lying out on your boat, as I just said, time to put your boat in the water. The tanning spray. First of all, tanning...
Excuse me, sir. This is one time I want a second opinion. Is the tanning spray the way to go?
I say most definitely. In high school, I used the tanning bed and religiously, and the effects that it has on your skin are almost instant. And, you know, you can really see it, but of course you don't care about that in high school. You just want to get your tan. You get a little bit older, you start thinking, oh, maybe I don't want to go to the tanning bed and mess up my skin. So you start using self-tanner. So what I see that's really popular, my friends and I, we use self-tanning lotion. You can get an Ulta, and it works very well.
Well, interesting.
Sorry, I didn't mean to go out for a second opinion.
No, that's a good second opinion. First of all, what that tanning stuff does is it actually stains the dead skin on the surface of your live skin. So it's doing nothing to your real skin. Secondly, it gives you a good uniform color that's safe. Third, it doesn't protect you from the sun. So people think that I've got this real nice store-bought tan, and then they go outside, they're getting just as much sun damage as they would before.
So there's no UV ray protection.
No UV ray protection. So you got to put on the tanning solution appropriately, let it dry, let it do what it's supposed to do, and then use a sunscreen when you go outside. Now, there are several things about it. One, if you go to one of these spas where you do like a car wash, it's going to be uniform, it's going to be pretty. It's also going to cost you $70 or something. If you purchase one of the products and use the spray or use the rub-on, it's going to stick in the creases, and you're going to get it on your hands and everything else. You got to follow the directions appropriately to get a real good job. They say the first thing you need to do is exfoliate the dead skin. So you rub yourself down real good and get the superficial dead skin off. Second thing that you do is you continually wipe your hands off, otherwise they're going to be yellow when you get finished. And then places where it picks up, like in the creases of your arms and the creases of your legs, you got to be careful. I don't know a whole lot about that part of it, but there's when the tanning solutions first came out, there were some inherent dangers to inhaling the fumes. Well, now they've got it where using the lotion, as she says, you're not spraying it on your face, so that's not an issue. And in the tanning bed, I mean in the tanning salon where they use you like a car wash, I think they give you some sort of a little
car wash, right?
Yeah, they give you something to keep so you're not breathing this stuff, right?
Right.
Have you ever done that?
Yes, I have. And they also have all natural blends. If you
Is
go
it
to certain
$70?
places, you can find, honestly, you can find a spray tan, a decent spray tan for $25 at about any tanning bed right now. Or maybe not any tanning bed, but 1 and 2, easy.
Yeah, let me caution you. You just said all natural. The chemical that does the duty is dihydroacetone, and it's got nothing to do with natural.
Okay.
So when they tell you it's natural and it came from almond pits or something, it's just one chemical, dihydroacetone. If it's not in there, it's not going to do the job. It's the exact same thing that happens when you cook a steak. It's how the surface of your steak got brown, and you're not burning yourself like your steak does. But that's the chemical that makes it turn brown. So anyway, the tanning bed is not safe in the least. There's reams and reams of data about it. Stay away from tanning beds. And the tanning spray is great, but it doesn't protect you from the sun. So then you got to use sunscreen when you go outside.
So you still have to have that sunscreen, even though you have the spray on.
Yeah.
Okay.
No doubt about it.
Is that your final thought on tanning too? I mean, we don't want to move off if there's anything else we left out. Because I told you, everybody can laugh at me, but the extent of my tanning is called lawnmower tan. So there you go. That's
but you used to have to use screen too.
I use the sunscreen.
Right, okay.
Go ahead.
I obviously am not wearing any. I'm pretty pale naturally, but as a fair warning to anyone who's trying this, I will say wash your hands immediately after, because the creases in between your fingers will get bad, and make sure the ankles are evenly spread. I mean, the lotion is evenly rubbed into the ankles, because those are the problem areas you're going to notice and they're going to bother you. So look up the problem areas for, applying
Does
lotion.
it come with a real good user kit that tells you about the ankles because that's just what I got through telling you.
Sometimes you just get, the directions on the back, and sometimes people aren't even going to bother to read. Most people won't even really exfoliate before they do it. They'll be lazy about it. And there's also an after lotion you can use to preserve the tan longer. I don't know. I mean,
I think we got the expert over here.
I
gave you the medical part.
I could go on about this all day personally.
Okay.
All right.
All right. We have two. We have two more questions, and we're going to switch directions. And I don't know if this is something you've ever heard of out there. At one time, I didn't know anything about this, and it's called Hashimoto's thyroiditis. And what is the best method of treatment? Can iodine help this condition?
Well, first of all,
what is Hashimoto?
Well, Hashimoto's is a guy named Hashimoto described it first. The most common form of low thyroid function occurs more in females than in males in the second and third and fourth decades of life, which means your 20s and your 30s, and it's epidemic. It's the cause of low thyroid. Lots of women in the same family, multiple generations. I'm not going to say who on your all-star panel has hypothyroidism, but I know somebody on the all-star panel that does. And this is very common. What happens is you have an antibody to your thyroid that very, 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 very slowly destroys its function. You take all the iodine in the world and it won't help. And that's because the thyroid gland itself wears out. It fibroses. I have a real good analogy, and that is that if you've got your furnace in your house that is running out of, wearing out, and you have your thermostat set at 70 degrees and the house is 68 degrees, in theory, you ought to be able to go over to the thermostat, slap a voltmeter on there, and measure the current going down to the furnace, right?
Right.
All right, so when your thyroid is running out of gas, your doctor can measure the current coming from the thermostat down to the furnace in a thing called the thyroid stimulating hormone. If that level is elevated, then that means that your thyroid's not putting out enough heat for the thermostat. And that is an extremely common condition. It's seen more commonly in females than males. And the only treatment for it is some form of thyroid hormone replacement. All the iodine in the world won't help. Interestingly enough, it can occur so slowly that neither the people, the patient nor family members will recognize it. And one of the greatest examples of this occurred in World War II. The chairman of the Department of Endocrinology at world-famous Cornell University, there was an international group of endocrinologists that met every year, and World War II eliminated all of that international travel, right? So in 1946, the first meeting from 1940 happened again in New York City. And the host was the chairman of the department at Cornell University. And when his colleagues from France and England and the European countries began to gather, his wife had gained almost 100 pounds. And she was the classic hypothyroid, like that. And he didn't recognize it because it had occurred so slowly over the 6 years that they hadn't met that he didn't see it. And she was a classical case that just like out of a medical textbook. And they said, how long's your wife had low thyroid function? He said, well, and they put his wife on thyroid. Within about 7 months, she'd lost 100 pounds and gone back to what she looked like before. So anyway, it's the most common form of hypothyroidism. You get it diagnosed by going to see your family doctor. The symptoms of it are you're fatigued and you slow down, but it occurs slow and so insidiously and so slowly that you may not recognize it, and neither does your family.
Let's go to our third question this morning, and then we always like to have an opportunity for Dr. Whaley. He looks at different medical things throughout the week, keeps up with the top releases on any new things out there in the medical field. So, but we want to save time for that. Hearing aids. Are they very expensive? How often how often will I have to be making an investment or replace or update them? I mean, hearing aids, what's out on the market?
That's a great question, Coach, and I don't hear well.
Well, I always know who this question comes from. You remember the day we had the question about cats and allergies?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I knew where that question came from. Well, I know where the hearing aid question comes from too this morning.
Yeah, it probably comes from somebody on your panel.
Yes, somebody that says,
the one with the low thyroid.
I need a hearing aid. So,
or the low thyroid member of your panel. Okay.
Hearing aids, are they expensive? How often do I have to make this investment, and what's out there?
First of all, you've got a conspiracy theory going, and that is that if you call it a hearing aid, you fall under a medical appliance group of rules and regulations and laws where you have to have a certification and training. And then those hearing aid products, you see them all around, are expensive. They can be from $1,000 to $4,000 or $5,000 a piece. But if you call them a microphone or a headset, you can have exactly the same technology and sell it for $100. So you'll see ads on TV and on the back of magazines and stuff, and gosh, that looks like exactly the thing I saw over at the Costco hearing thing. And they're largely similar. But for the sake of argument, if you go to a hearing aid place, you get your hearing tested, this is a computerized piece of equipment, and there are two types. There's the one that goes in the ear only and has a little tiny hair crawling out, and the most effective one is the one that's behind the ear and has a little piece of hair going in the ear. And those are like anything else that is exposed to nature. Your ear has got wax, it's got moisture and so forth, and so just like the surface of your car, you got to wash it, you got to wax it. Some people have wax that builds up very quickly, some have it to build up very slowly, but if you're going to take care of your car, when the light goes on, you change the oil. if you're going to take care of your hearing aid, about 3 times a year, you take it back to the guy, just like you went to get your oil changed, and he cleans it all up. And if the parts that can rust or wear out are wearing out, they fix them right there on the spot. It costs you a few bucks. Now, it's just like cars. We were out with some folks last night, and there's a whole bunch of brand new cars there, and mine's 12 years old. Everybody else is brand new. Now they got cars that talk to you, and they stop you when you go forward, and they keep you from going out of the lane.
Park for you and everything.
Park for you and everything. So the technology of the automobile has changed, and a guy with a 10-year-old car, like me, is just as happy with the 10-year-old car, and another guy is not happy unless his car will park itself and talk to you and even tell you where you want to drive. Well, that's the way about hearing aids. So if you take right now the technology you could buy in 2017 and look at the technology you could have gotten in 2010, this hearing aid may be just fine. But it won't give you the direction. It won't go down if you get in a crowd and you can't Bluetooth it to your telephone and your car radio and everything else. So the technology may change, and then people get rid of it because they want the highest technology. But the economic guy like me that drives a car when it falls apart would be happy with his hearing aid, but he needs to take care of it like he'd take care of the car he wants to keep for 20 years.
All right, I want to get my dumb question in.
All right, dumb question.
Yes, I got a dumb question. When do you know, let me finish, when do you know you need to go get your hearing test and you may need a hearing aid other than your wife thinking she's the doctor and you need a hearing aid? How much trouble did I get in?
You didn't get in any trouble at all, because we both have the same problem. But
we both have the
same problem, yeah.
Okay.
Well, first of all, when your children and your grandchildren say, can you turn it down when they walk in and you're watching the television, you know right away that you're probably got the thing turned up a little higher than the average.
People do that to me.
Well,
I like to listen to things loud.
well,
so
yeah,
but
you know, you understand that. Then the other is, if you're here at Blue Jeans Pizza, and it's lunchtime, and there are 5 of you at the table, and you're doing like this and saying, what did he say? And people at the table next to you are having a conversation and not having any trouble understanding one another, then the function of speech discrimination with competing noises in the conversation with 4 or 5 people, when you really have trouble following it, that's when the hearing aid time has come. It's not just answering the telephone.
So if you turn the TV up to about 90, that's...
Well, I think it's 68 on ours, and that only goes to 70. So with 68, it's when it goes all the way across the bottom and there's only just a little bit of this over there, I think it's time to get a hearing aid. Now, I know it's way past time for me to get a hearing aid, but I have to put stethoscope in my ear, and the stethoscope won't go on top of the hearing aid. And Dr. Tidman, you know, he's a technology guy. He's got the newest cars and newest computers. I love Ray too, but he's got a stethoscope that goes in his ears that magnifies the sound for you. So,
okay.
Yeah, I don't think he has any hearing aids at all. But he, you know, whatever the highest tech thing is, just ask him next time, and he can be able. He'll be able to.
No, I love my technology. So okay, well, I will announce here live, I do not need a hearing aid. Fine, I'm doing great.
Me too.
You okay?
Yeah, except
you don't need a hearing aid.
I've broken an appointment about 4 times to get a hearing aid.
Why can't other people just talk louder?
Exactly. All right.
Yeah, when speaker,
turn up the music.
When the speaker comes in today, the speaker speaks where you can hear him.
Yes, he does.
He speaks. You don't have to worry about hearing him. You don't have to worry about hearing me. And there are people who just generally don't talk very loud. And so they need to talk a little louder. But when I'm at the table with the speaker and you and the people that speak loud and I'm still not hearing you, then it's my fault.
Of course.
What's new, or what do we want to leave with today?
Well, you might want to ask the speaker about this. Tremendous publicity over the last few days of the legislative session, and then at exactly the same time, Trump came out with his war on opiate addiction. And I think if you'll remember, I was the medical director of the largest narcotic treatment program in the world, and we are in an epidemic of opioid opioid deaths. The number of overdose deaths in the United States and Georgia has gone up by 200% in less than 5 years. And if you just take this number and think through it, how many Americans, what's the population of America, and how many of them are old people and young people that don't fit the demographic? 125 million Americans misused prescription pain drugs in 2015.
You know, I typed that. I didn't mean to be rude out there if you're watching that. I wasn't paying attention to the doctor. But I typed that because I don't want to forget that, because I loved everything about that, because you know the governor of the state of Maryland, Governor Hogan of Maryland, I think it's his name, has put in effect a state of emergency.
Yes, it is.
A state of emergency based on opiate addiction.
Yeah, well,
5 a day, I think he said, in Maryland are dying an average.
Well, we had 597 or something in the United States last year that were just OxyContin, not heroin, but just OxyContin. And then you got the heroin deaths on top of that mixed up with fentanyl. But the point I wanted to get to is 80% of heroin addicts, and that's what I was treating under the Georgia Narcotic Treatment Program, 80% of heroin addicts had their introduction to addiction by prescription drugs that had been diverted from the marketplace. Now, you know, we had a big scandal up in Union County about prescription drugs getting diverted. Prescription drugs are diverted from the supply, not by robbing pharmacies, but by physicians who are one of 4 Ds. They're either duped by the professional patient who comes in and gives us a bad story, they're out of date, and they don't know the right way to be prescribing. And in my opinion, about 90% or 95% of the diversion is that 2 great groups of doctors who are trying to do the right thing. And the other 2 Ds are the disabled ones. And what we know about the one in Union County, disabled means they're using drugs themselves or they're trading them for sex or whatever. And then the last, just a crook. There was a thing yesterday on Fox News about a county in West Virginia.
Yes, I watched the whole thing.
All right, well that in Georgia in the 1970s, the drug Quaalude, which you were probably in grammar school when Quaalude was the abusable drug, there was enough Quaalude written in the state of Georgia.
I heard they used to crush them or something.
Every man,
Scarface. I heard that word that was all in Scarface, Michelle Pfeiffer.
But every man, woman, and child in the state of Georgia got 125 Quaaludes in 1 year, if the amount that was dispensed in Georgia stayed in Georgia. There was more Quaalude came out of Waycross, Georgia, than came out of New York City. So there were areas in which pharmacists with, you know, just filling prescriptions knew what they were doing, and the biggest group that fought laws to change it were pharmacists.
Well, Dr. Whaley, I want to say the other day I watched a documentary called Dr. Feelgood. I watched a documentary called Dr. Feelgood. And opiate, I want to thank you, because I do have a list of questions and discussion items for the speaker. And, you know, sometimes we get tied up in the budget and we talk about those kind of things, and things like opiate addiction, which should be very high on our concerns.
And it was.
And I thank you for that, and I appreciate it. Yeah. And I have a quick question, one more question, we have to go. Did you think this morning when you came in and we were talking about tanning that I would have a professional second opinion?
No, but she's really good. I mean, I wouldn't, you know, I haven't used a tanning thing in my life, and I got the worst skin in the world. I was glad to hear a real expert consumer of the products over there give her opinion.
Thank you very much. What?
We know our commander-in-chief spray tans a little bit. I would be very curious to know his choice.
Leave Donald alone.
It looks, it's a good self-tanner. I don't know what it is.
Oh, you think?
All right. We got to get out. We're going to be back. We want to thank Dr. Whaley. I'm here with Katy Sassine this morning. our co-host, and we want to thank Dr. Whaley and especially Georgia Cancer Specialist for this segment every Friday morning at 8:15. Don't forget, you can send your questions for Dr. Whaley throughout the week, 706-889-9700 or chief@fetchernews.com. We're going to take a break, and then it's time for the all-star panel. We have a big panel. The mother of all bombs. Donald Trump said he was going to bomb out of ISIS. Did he? What's next? Are you concerned? We'll ask the panel when we come back. It's time for politics. 9:30, Georgia House Speaker David Russell will be with us. Sam, take us to break.